Council meeting. We're going to start off tonight with our organizational meeting for the year. So I call the organizational meeting of council to order. We have a number of recommendations from the mayor. First, the recommendations for appointment to deputy mayor. Council, you have in your package the schedule of deputy mayor for from October 2012 to October of 2013. If I could get a motion for that, Councillor Rice.
I move that council adopt the appointment of deputy mayor from October 2012 to October 2013 as presented.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you.
Is this happening?
And that motion carries. Next up is my recommendation for appointments to standing committees of council. These are the same as the last year, and so I'd look for a motion for that. Councillor Crokin.
Thanks, Mayor Given. I move the mayor's recommendation for appointments to standing committees of council.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Next is the recommendation for appointments to boards and committees. I believe that there are no particular changes to that either. Councillor Radburn?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I move that council approve the mayor's recommendations for appointments to boards and committees as presented.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Any discussion or debate?
Yeah.
Councillor O'Toole?
Yeah, just a little secretarial fixed up there. Under the combative sports, it doesn't have me as the chair.
Yeah, I believe that's just because you're the one council representative on that commission. Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor O'Toole. Any further discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. Councillor Rice?
Under subdivision and development appeal board, it doesn't show Councillor Monroe as chair. Is that because they picked their own chair?
At Subdivision and Development Appeal Board, the chair is nominated at the meetings.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Rice. And so we had one final schedule, the schedule of council and standing committee meetings for the year. Council will note that there is Christmas break. There's also allowance for the FCM convention, and then the summer break as we've done at practice for this term. So any discussion or debate, excuse me, could we have a motion for the schedule of council and standing committee meetings? Councillor Wong.
I move the adoption of the schedule for council and standing committee meetings for the period of October 2012 to October 2013.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. I believe that concludes all the items of business for our organizational meeting. If there were no other items of business, then I would adjourn the organizational meeting, and we'll reset and get ready for our regular city council meeting. Everybody can switch over their agendas. And if we've got that, then I'll call to order the regular city council meeting of Grande Prairie City Council for Monday, October 15th, 2012. I'd ask everyone in attendance to rise and join us in singing O Canada.
True
thank you to the National Film Board for the images of our country and to our very own Grand Prairie Boys Choir for the audio rendition. I would look for adoption of the previous council meeting minutes from October 1st. Councilor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I move the minutes of the city council meeting be held October 1st, 2012 be adopted.
Thanks very much, Councilor McLean. Did anyone note any errors or omissions in that set of minutes? Any questions or comments? Seeing none, then I'll call for Councilor Crokin. No? Okay. I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Look for a motion for the adoption of the agenda. Councilor Crokin.
Thanks, Mayor Given. I move the council adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you very much, Councilor Crokin. Any notes on the agenda? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. So that brings us to the delegation portion of our agenda. This is an opportunity for anybody to come forward to address council on any community-related matter other than those that are the subject of a public hearing. We had a notice of one person who wanted to come forward, Mr. Kirschman, who wanted to come forward and address council. Is Mr. Kirschman here today? Okay, so I don't see that Mr. Kirschman is here. So I'd ask again if there's anybody that wanted to come forward to address council on any community-related matter other than those that are the subject of a public hearing. We'll get into the public hearings in a second. It doesn't look like we have anybody coming forward. Looks like everybody's here for a public hearing probably, or just because they enjoy watching city council meetings. So we'll close the delegation portion of the agenda and we'll move on to public hearings. And we'll start off with item 6.1, the Meadowview Area Structure Plan Amendment. Mr. Welton, do you want to make an introduction for us?
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is to adopt the Meadowview Area Structure Plan Amendment C 1083-06. ISL, on behalf of the landowners, has submitted an application to amend the Meadowview Area Structure Plan to change the designation of the PARD site, which is located just west of 84th Street and just south of the future 84th Avenue, from recreation to single-family residential in the Meadowview ASP. PARDS intends to move its operations to the Evergreen Park area in the county, and in order to facilitate the sale, they are requesting that the ASP amendment be adopted. The site is located in the southeast corner of the Brookfield area and is south of the future extension of 84th Avenue and west of 84th Street, and it is 20 acres or 8.09 hectares in area. And the site is currently designated recreation in both the Meadowview ASP and the Brookfield Outline Plan. During the process of adopting the Brookfield Outline Plan, the engineering design reports identified that only half of this site can be fully serviced at this time. The west half of the site slopes to the west, so the sanitary sewer and the stormwater both gravity feed to the west. There is a storm, there's a storm channel to the west that gathers stormwater, and there is a sanitary main for sanitary discharge. However, the east side of the site, east half of the site is essentially undevelopable as at this time, as there is no sanitary sewer capacity that flows to the east. The proposed amendment to the Meadowview Area Structure Plan would add a reference to these servicing constraints. And prior to residential development of the site, the developer or owner would be required to update the Brookfield Outline Plan and amend the land use bylaw. And as that part of that process, the city would require that the developer demonstrate through the submission of new or revised stormwater, water, sanitary sewer, and transportation design reports that the site would be ready for development. The proposed single-family residential land use is compatible with the adjacent country residential uses in the Eagle Estates area and with the future Brookfield residential neighborhood north of 84th Avenue. The future layout of residential lots, road access, and servicing will require further refinement through the preparation of an amendment to the Brookfield Outline Plan and the updating of the Brookfield engineering design reports. An amendment to the land use bylaw would also be required prior to residential development. In the meantime, development on the site would continue to be governed by the existing UR Urban Reserve zoning. During the initial referral process, we did receive one letter from a property owner in Eagle Estates, which is attached to your agendas. And we did advertise the public hearing, and we did not receive any comments or concerns. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thanks very much, Mr. Welton. We would go to the presentation submission portion of the public hearing. I'd call for anybody that wanted to speak in favor of the application. Yeah, I see somebody coming forward. Please come and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mayor Given. My name is Dave McCrae, Manager of Land Use Planning with ISL, and with me is Jennifer Douglas, Executive Director of PARDS. Basically, just here to encourage council to approve the amendment. The intent is to take sort of one small step towards the future redevelopment of the site for basically non-recreational purposes once PARDS has relocated to their new site near Evergreen Park. It will be the responsibility of the subsequent owner or developer to meet the additional requirements that Mr. Welton spoke to in his report. Basically, we're just here to answer any questions that council may have, or if there's any members of the public here that have concerns with it, we'd be pleased to respond to those later as well.
Okay, thanks very much. I do see one question in the queue. Excuse me, Councillor Rice.
Jennifer, is administration and the board aware that half the site is undevelopable?
No, my understanding, what they're aware of is basically my understanding, which once Brookfield was bringing in and developing, then we would, the future developer for that site would work with them to determine what was needed in that area.
Okay, then maybe it's a technical question for Mr. McCrae. Is half the site not developable because the servicing isn't there, or because there are topographical constraints?
A little bit of both, Councillor Rice. At the present time, all things being equal, the west half of the site is serviceable for sanitary and storm because the proposed infrastructure, the land basically goes the right way. The easterly portion of the site is serviceable in the long term through future trunk services and future storm systems that would be further to the east. We also, with administration, when we were going through the amendment, the details of the amendment, we had suggested text which provided additional options for servicing down the road because there's more than one way to skin the proverbial cat. But we felt, administration felt it was best to leave the text a little more general at this stage, but there are potential interim options that developers could explore with the city
Okay.
at that time.
And one more, if I may.
Sure.
And you're both comfortable that if these proposed amendments go through, there will be a reference to the servicing constraints?
No question, that's not actually, we requested that ourselves in the interest of disclosure.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I see Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Just a couple questions. One of them, there's Eagle Estates, and there's going to be Brookfield, and it's kind of squished in the middle, and one is county still, I do believe, Eagle Estates, and then Brookfield. Are these lots going to be city standards, are very small, or are they going to be Eagle Estates, like, are they going to pick a happy medium? What is the future plan here? Is to say single-family residence, but they're going to try to make it coherent in between the two of them now? Or, because it's wide open, Eagle Estates, this ain't covered by trees, so all of a sudden, you're going to do single detached homes, 4-foot side yard variances. What's going to happen there?
All we've done at this point, Councillor McLean, is looked at the big picture in terms of the general land use. The details would be the subject of additional study by the subsequent owner. So they would have to deal with that when they deal with the zoning issues, engineering design, and so on.
And at that time, probably come up consultation with the owners of Eagle Estate and part of county.
By all
Okay,
means, yes.
Another question now, Jennifer. You guys are moving. When is this going to be happening, and the dates you're hoping for?
Sure, and if we
Can I
can
ask
count,
that one?
well,
Pards.
I'll allow it certainly, but if we want to focus on the subject of the
course.
public hearing, which is this particular piece of land. So
Okay.
Jennifer, if you want to pass on a little bit about, an update about PARDS,
Thanks.
that's fine, but.
Okay, well, part of when we'll be determining the value of the land that we're currently on, which is why we're going through this process, because all of that funding would go into the relocation. So the sooner we have the funding in place, the sooner we'll be moving.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions for the delegation? Seeing none, then I think at this point, Ms. Douglas, Mr. McCrae, I think you've answered everything. Thanks very much for being here tonight. So we're still in the presentation submission portion of the agenda. This is an opportunity for anybody who wishes to to speak in favor of the application to come forward. And I'd ask again if there's anybody else who'd wish to speak in favor of the application. And if not, then I would ask if there's anybody who wished to speak in opposition to the application. This would be an opportunity for anybody that wanted to come forward to speak in opposition to the application. And I don't see anybody coming forward, so if there were no further presentations, then I would close the public hearing and we'd move to business arising. Councillor Rice?
I would move second reading of bylaw C 108306 to amend the Meadowview Area Structure Plan.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Discussion and debate on second reading. Councillor Radburn?
Thank you, Mayor Given. If I could, question for administration or whomever, just address the concern in the letter with respect to recreation fields, et cetera. I'm assuming that further planning would ensure that there is municipal reserve so that we would have the opportunity for recreational fields in that area.
Mr. Walton?
Thank you, Alderman or Councillor Radburn. There will be, in the Brookfield outline plan, when it was done, identified all of the municipal reserve that would be owing in that portion. The PARD site was subdivided when it was in the county, and at that time, the county took money in lieu of municipal reserve, and therefore, the future owner of this property would not be under an obligation to provide municipal reserve for this parcel.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks very much. Councillor Radburn, any further discussion or debate on the second reading? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote on second reading. Sorry, Councillor Monroe?
I wasn't present for the first part of the.
Okay, for the public hearing, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Monroe. Then I'll close the vote. And that motion carries. Motion for third reading?
I move
Thanks,
third,
Councillor Rice.
sorry, I move third reading of bylaw 108306.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Any discussion or debate on third reading? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. And that would move us on to item 6.2, the West Industrial Area Structure Plan Amendment, bylaw C 1063-05. So I'd call to order the public hearing and ask Mr. Walton for an introduction from administration.
Right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are recommending that council give second and third reading to bylaw C 1063-05 to amend the West Industrial Area Structure Plan. Approved by resolution, an amendment to the Center West Business Park Outline Plan to change the designation of Lot 3, Block 2, Plan 062-5015 from arterial commercial to general industrial, and to give second and third readings to Land Use Bylaw Amendment C 1100-184 as amended. And this is being amended just because there was a typo on the initial bylaw. Scott Rosser, on behalf of the property owner, submitted an application to change the future land use designation of Lot 3, Block 2, Plan 062-5015 from commercial to general industrial in the West Industrial ASP, CA to IG in the land use bylaw, and arterial commercial to general industrial in the outline plan. In 2010, the ASP outline plan and land use bylaw were all amended for this site, and this application proposes to change the designations in all three documents back to where they were in 2010 for this property. The site is located just to the west of 116th Street, and it is south of the future, a little bit south of the Future Shop site in Center West. Again, the area is identified as arterial commercial in the ASP, and the proposal is to make it general industrial. It's also arterial commercial in the outline plan, again, proposed to change to general industrial. And the current zoning is CA arterial commercial. In 2010, when that zoning was put in place, the applicants indicated that they had interest in a retail establishment on this lot and two others, and that appears that that did not transpire, and therefore they're proposing to change this one lot back to general industrial. Planning is of the opinion that this will not create any land use conflicts with the adjacent properties. Site servicing roads in the area were designed to accommodate the general industrial development that is being requested. And this application was, or this public hearing was advertised, and we did not receive any comments or responses as a result of that advertising. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thanks very much, Mr. Welton. So we would move to the presentation submission portion of the agenda. If there's anybody that would care to speak in support of the proposal, I'd ask them to come forward. I see Mr. Rossler.
Thank you. I'm Scott Rossler with Helix Engineering, here on behalf of the landowner. Fairly straightforward amendment, it's due to a pending land deal. This is a subject to condition. If you do have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, any questions for the delegation? Seeing none, Mr. Rossler, I don't think you have any questions. So thanks for being here tonight, just in case. So this is still the delegation, or excuse me, the presentation submission portion of the public hearing. Is there anybody else that would like to come forward to speak in favor of the proposal? Doesn't look like we're going to have anybody coming forward, so I'd ask if there's anybody who'd like to speak in opposition to the proposal. And again, it doesn't look like we're going to have anybody coming forward to speak in opposition, so we would close the presentation submission portion of the public hearing. And move on to business arising from the hearing. Councillor Crokin.
I'll move the bylaw. I move council give bylaw C 1063-05 bylaw to amend the West Industrial Area Structure Plan, second reading.
Thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Any discussion and debate on second reading? Councillor Wong.
I'm just going to speak in favor of the motion and just say that it looks like it's consistent with all the other land uses in the area.
Okay. Thanks, Councillor Wong. Any further discussion and debate? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote on second reading. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Crokin.
Thank you. I move council give bylaw C 1063-05 bylaw to amend the West Industrial Area Structure Plan, third reading.
Thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Any discussion or debate on third reading? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Crokin, do you want to continue on?
Sure, I'll continue on. Thanks, Mayor Gibbon. I move council approve the amendment to the Center West Business Park Outline Plan to change the designation of Lot 3, Block 2, Plan 0625015 from arterial commercial to general industrial.
Thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Discussion and debate on the motion. Councillor Rice.
Okay, so we just changed the whole designation. Why is this one a standalone?
The previous motions dealt with the area structure plan. Now we're dealing with the outline plan, which are two separate documents.
Okay, and we don't have to have another input session for it.
I believe all the public notification would have happened at the same time.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion and debate? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Crokin.
Further, Mayor Gibbon, council give bylaw C 1100184 a bylaw to amend the land use bylaw, second reading.
Thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Any discussion or debate on second reading of that land use bylaw amendment? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That motion carries. Councillor Crokin, one last piece of business.
Thanks, Mayor Gibbon. Council give bylaw C 1100-184 a bylaw to amend the land use bylaw, third reading.
Thanks, Councillor Crokin. Any discussion or debate on third reading of that land use bylaw amendment? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that reading carries. That brings us to 6.3 and the Westgate East Outline Plan Amendment and subsequent amendments. Mr. Welton.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is recommended that council approve by resolution amendments to the Westgate East Outline Plan by replacing existing maps 1 to 16 with the attached maps 1 to 16, replacing the land use summary table in Appendix A with the attached land use summary table, adding the sentence, restrictive covenant shall be registered on the titles of the lot subject to land use bylaw amendment C 1100-182, limiting residential development to single detached dwellings, to the end of the last paragraph in section 2.2.2. And to give second and third readings to land use bylaw amendment C 1100-182 as amended. And this is amended because the initial bylaw included an area of future municipal reserve that was not intended to be part of this. and therefore the amended map which you have attached excluded that portion of municipal reserve. Bearsville Laners Ketchum have submitted an application on behalf of the landowners to change the designation of lots 9, 10, and 11 and 12 MR, Block 3, Plan 112, 1526, and a portion of the southwest quarter of Section 27, Township 71, Range 6, west of the 6th Meridian, as shown on the bylaw map from RR Restricted Residential to RL Low Density Residential. The applicant is proposing to increase the number of lots in this area from 61 to 67, and the amendment would facilitate this increase. And to ensure consistency with the Westgate East Outline Plan, an amendment to that plan has also been requested. The subject area is located in the northeast corner of the Westgate East area. The area to the north is undeveloped and is identified for future industrial, commercial, and business, industrial, residential, and commercial development. The area to the east in Gateways is 4.7 hectare municipal reserve lot. And the area to the south contains lots for single detached dwellings and are zoned RL and RG. The area to the west is also planned for residential development and is zoned RG and RC. The Westgate East area is primarily designated for residential uses in the outline plan. The developing neighborhood has a variety of residential districts applied to it, which including RR, RL, RG, RC, RM, and RH. And a 4.575 commercial site is proposed for the western end of the area adjacent to the 116th Street. The area also contains a municipal reserve and a large stormwater pond. The designations in the land use bylaw reflect those that are in the outline plan, and the proposed amendment would change the designation of the area zoned RR to RL. The RR district has the largest minimum lot area at 464.52 square meters and the largest lot width of any single detached residential district in the land use bylaw. And there is a table on, I think it's page 3 of the report that indicates the minimum lot width and minimum lot area for our 3 residential districts. The proposed RL district differs from the existing RR district in that the RL district also allows semi-detached and duplex dwellings while the RR district does not. The applicant has indicated they're willing to register a restrictive covenant on the title limiting development on these lots to single detached dwellings only, and that forms part of the recommendation I indicated. Therefore, planning has recommended that this sentence be added. When the area was being planned and the layout of the lots were being established, the RR districts were not made sufficiently deep. The minimum area in the RR district is 464 square meters, and the minimum lot width is 14.02 meters. Therefore, the minimum lot depth should be 33.1. However, depth of the lots in this area are as shallow as 30.0 meters. Can you call this one? It's right at the very end. It should be right at the very end. When the area was being planned, some of these lots are as narrow or as shallow as 30 meters. In order for the RR lots to adhere to the minimum lot size, they would have to be made
I think we're
wider.
looking to have administration's computer up on screen if possible.
I don't think that screen is capable of the one beside it.
The community growth director's screen, Ms. Ferguson's. There we go. Thank you.
All right. Yes, so when this area was originally, when the outline plan for this area was originally adopted and the lot layout was established, the depth of the lots was less than what would be appropriate for the RR district. In order for the RR lots to adhere to the minimum lot size, they would have to be made wider. And the applicant has indicated the lots would not be viable in the market because they're wide and shallow, making them awkward for conventional house design, required setbacks, etc., and because lot pricing is based on frontage when selling lots to home builders, and these lots would therefore be more expensive than other similar sized lots. The applicant has submitted a tentative plan, which is up on the screen, and you have in your packages, showing this tentative plan. The subdivision would increase the number of lots in the area from 61 to 67. It also indicates that the area would not provide lane access. The outline plan maps are being amended to reflect the proposed have been amended to reflect the proposed subdivision plan. Although some of the lots will be smaller than the current zoning allows, they will be larger than the minimum specified in the RL district. Can we go to the other one, the colored one? This one. All right. Of the 67 lots proposed by the tentative plan of subdivision, 17 of the lots would continue to comply with the standards of the RR district. 35 would comply with the RG sized district, and 15 are RL sized. Of the 15 smallest lots, 7 of those 15 lots are actually only 1 square meter less than RG size. So what is up on the screen now is all of the green lots are still RR size lots. The orangish brown are RG size lots, and the yellow are RL sized, and the purple lots are less than 1 square meter under the minimum lot size for RG. In the initial discussions for this amendment application, there was some consideration given to actually make the zoning map sort of reflect this lot size configuration. We did feel that it was probably cleanest and easiest just to make the whole area RL as there's 8 lots that are RL size lots. Of the 8 lots that are yellow, none of them are less than 12.8 meters wide. 12.2 is actually the minimum lot size for an RG lot. So even though these lots don't meet the larger lot size requirement of RG and RL, they are actually wider than what a typical RL lot would be. Planning is of the opinion that the reduction in the size of the single-family lots in this area is minor and do not create adverse impacts on the surrounding area. And the amendments were advertised, and we did not receive any comments at the time of writing the report or up till now. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thanks very much, Mr. Welton. Questions for administration at this point? Questions for administration? Councillor Rice?
We're doing, we just decided to redo a traffic pattern study up and around that area. I'm not sure it extends as far as this, but so adding, I guess the amendments are minor enough that it won't have, a new traffic study won't have impact on it?
Mr. Welton?
Yeah, that's correct, Councillor Rice. Because the number of lots is only going to increase by a few, it's not anticipated that there will be any impacts on servicing or transportation. If an amendment was going to radically increase the amount of traffic by increasing the number of lots, then the process would have been different and likely would have required the applicants to update the transportation studies that were done for this neighborhood.
Thank you.
Councillor McLean? Question for administration?
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. I just included from going from RR to RL, there's no lane access, and you're narrowing the lots. The frontage, I noticed in some of them, it's a little, say 13 meters, but a good narrow in the back as well, right? Am I wrong on that? Look, did I read that wrong?
Mr. Welton?
Are they same all the way from the front to the back?
Most of the lots are all the same from the front to the back. There are, because there is some curve in some of the lots because the road curves on the west side of the property. There is a slight difference, but most of the lots are generally rectangular.
And one more question, Mayor. When these lots are put up and they're built, what's the side yard variance with no lane going to be on some of them? With no lane in the backyard to park?
With no lane, I believe, like the side yard setbacks?
No, not the setbacks, the side yard variances on the sides. Like, is it 4 feet? 4 feet?
Councillor McLean, so a
a
setback,
good-
a variance would be when somebody's building something that isn't to the
Well,
standard. So that's not knowable until a house is actually being built. So I think.
Why I'm asking, because there's no lane, are these going to be 8 feet from outside the concrete wall to the other house.
Sure, so what you're asking is what our setback requirements are from this,
Yeah.
from the site?
Yeah, I believe the setback requirements in the RL district are 4 feet on either side.
Yeah, okay.
If there's a front garage.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay, 4 feet on either side with the front garage. Okay.
I believe so.
Okay, Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. Can you tell me approximately the size of house that would go on some of these limited size lots?
Mr. Walton?
Would it be like a 1,200 square foot house, multi-story?
These are notwithstanding the sort of the reason for this amendment, these lots are quite substantial in size. Even though they've applied to amend the bylaw for this to go to RL for the whole thing. The smallest lots in here are 30 meters deep by like 12.8 meters. So you could get a 1,200 square foot bungalow or a something with a 2-car attached garage onto something that's 12.8 meters wide. Like the issue is, and I think, I'm not sure if the representatives in Barstow are going to speak to this, but the issue is that if you have a wide lot, a typical house, you have width to it, but you have a certain amount of depth as well. And that's kind of a standard design, the ratio of width to depth. With these lots, there's excessive width and less depth, and therefore it makes building a standard configuration house more difficult. So, which is why they've applied to amend the bylaw to narrow some of these lots a little bit.
Okay. And just one more follow-up question, if I could.
Councilor
Are all these proposed lots required to have driveways in them and a certain amount of grass frontage?
These lots would all have front driveways, and I don't know what requirements the city has for ensuring front yards versus driveway.
Fair enough. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, and Councillor Crokin, you had a question?
Thanks, Mayor Given. Dan, the season of snow is upon us. Are these just still the same standards as, say, in Northridge or any of the other subdivisions that have been improved lately?
Mr. Walton?
I believe that these lots would be very similar to any single-family residential district with a 2-car front garage.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was referring to the roadway.
Oh, the roadway. I
width.
believe the roadway is standard width.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, okay. And questions for administration? Questions? Question?
Thank you, Mayor
Councilor
Given.
Payne?
Another thing, by going to the RL, it can be changed in the plan of the developer to do a duplex and a single detached with no garage. Is that true, Dan?
In a standard RL district, a applicant or a property owner could do a RL, on an RL lot, an applicant could do a semi-detached. What we are recommending is that a provision be put into the outline plan that says that in this area, a restrictive covenant has to be registered on all titles, preventing the development of single detached and semi-detached.
Okay.
And so at the time of subdivision, that would be registered on the title of all the lots, and therefore any future property owner would have to comply with that restrictive covenant. So that's the recommendation.
And how about duplexes? Did I miss that one?
Same with duplexes. Well, what the recommendation says is it limits the residential dwelling development to single detached only. So it's inclusive in the sense that it only allows single detached, doesn't allow semis or duplex or whatever else someone might come up with.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. If there weren't any further questions for administration at this time, I would open the presentation submission portion of the public hearing and ask anybody that wanted to present in support of the application to come forward. I see some movement back there in the gallery. Gentlemen, if you could come forward and introduce yourselves for the record.
Good evening. My name's Chad Melky. I'm with Barstow Laners Ketchum.
Ian Ketchum with Bristol Laners Ketchum. We're here speaking on behalf of the landowner regarding this application for rezoning. Majority of Don Welton's package here actually explains it quite well. Just to kind of address some of the things I was hearing during the question period. The entire concept of this rezoning is to actually get the marketability of these lots in line with what the pricing is in the city of Grand Prairie. Because these lot depths are only 30 meters deep, to meet the zoning currently of RR, they would have to be substantially wider than what the market would allow to sell. They price themselves out of the market, basically. The intent for the developer is not to build duplexes or any kind of attached sort of structure, and that's why they're willing to sign caveats for all these titles to not allow that to occur. As a matter of fact, their whole concept is to transition from that higher density from the south, transition into the larger single family to the north. So in order to do that with this short lot depth, the request was to rezone as you see here, and just have those 15 lots work out for them in terms of lot area. The lot widths, just to answer the question, the lot widths would fit the requirements for a double garage. So,
Okay.
Other than that, I don't know if there's any questions anyone has for us.
Sure, I see at least one in the queue. Councillor Rice?
All lots will have a front driveway, correct?
The intention is for all lots to have a front driveway. Yes, there's no back lane.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mayor Given. Just one more question, Ian, Chad. When these homes are being built, there was questions I had with side yard variance, and I know building codes changed from the whole block being burnt and drywall put up underneath the petroleum vinyl. When they start building, is it going to be 8 feet from outside to outside generally on majority of these? If you look at the map, can we have the map back up there, please?
Apparently not.
Well, I'm hoping. Thank you. Okay, when I look at this and you go, the green stays the same, right? And I don't know, it's not purple, but I don't know what color it is, all the ones that are changing, and they're lowering the width size. Is it going to, like, the lot size is narrower there, and are all those lots going to be 8 feet to 8 feet from outside a concrete wall?
Mr. Ketchum?
With no lane?
Yes, they will be. Actually, the side yard for any single family, if it's not attached, would have that offset of 4 feet from their property line. So regardless of RL or RR, you will have that 8-foot separation from wall to wall. If there's variance, that would be during construction. And if that occurred, I think there's fire protections or requirements in terms of building codes.
So just one more question, because with the roof overhang, probably be about 4 feet from house to house.
It depends on the shape of the house, whether there's even an overhang on the side. If there is, then that's about 0.6 meters, which is 2 feet. So that would make it 4 feet from eaves to eaves, but that wouldn't change regardless of RR or RL.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further questions for the delegation? Seeing none, gentlemen, anything else to add? Okay, thanks very much for being here tonight. This is still the presentation submission portion of the public hearing. Anybody else that would like to come forward to present in support of the proposal? I think we've almost worked our way through the crowd. I don't see anybody else come forward. Anybody that would like to speak in opposition to the proposed amendments? I'll call again anybody that would like to speak in opposition of the proposed amendments. It doesn't look like we have anybody coming forward, so I'll have one more opportunity if there are any further questions for administration. And I don't see any, so I will close the public hearing and move to business arising. If I could get a motion for business arising. Councillor Wong.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor Given. I move that council approve the amendments to the Westgate East outline plan. In speaking to this motion, I believe that the presentation here was very clear that all the lot sizes are wider than standard, than what's standard in our RL district, which are really the significant changes to to the outline plan and the designations. I think the only reason why they needed to come to council for this is because the lot depths are 10 feet shorter than what they normally would be. And most of us know that it is the width that we're really concerned about. All these concerns that we heard about with building 4 feet to your property line, that has to do with building code, has nothing to do with the zoning. So these guys aren't building the houses. The builders who put up the houses will be the ones who will be having to satisfy that setback requirement.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Open for discussion and debate on the motion. Councillor Radburn?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I will be supporting the recommendation as well. I was pleased to note that I guess almost half of the 15 lots are very, very close to our G. And of the other 8, they're 384 meters squared, which is close to RG and well above the 302 minimum for RL. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Radburn. Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I do believe I asked the question with no lane, it might set a precedent down the road as well. To me, they are very close, and they plan on building them within 8 feet. Under building code or not, when the city goes to service these roads and the trouble we may have down the road, I think 20 years ago the city changed the agenda to smaller lots, and I'm not for that. So I'll be voting against this. I believe we should be going the other way, a little bit more. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor McLean. Councillor O'Toole?
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I'll be supporting this. The concerns that I had have been dealt with, or have been presented, and I'm in favor with what's going on.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor O'Toole. Councillor Rice?
I would not have believed it was at all possible for me to even consider supporting an amendment that incorporates small lots. However, I believe that my concerns have been addressed, and this amendment is done so efficiently and effectively with the blending that I will be supporting the motion.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Any further discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carried with 1 opposed. Councillor Wong, do you want to carry on with the land use bylaw amendments?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Given. I move that council give bylaw C 1100-182 a bylaw to amend the land use bylaw, second reading.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Any discussion or debate on second reading of the land use bylaw amendment? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. I think I'm waiting for one more, Council. Thank you. And that motion carries with 1 opposed. Councillor Wong?
I move third reading of bylaw C 1100-182.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Any discussion or debate on third reading? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. That brings us to item 6.4, bylaws C 1202A and bylaw C 1100-183, amendments to the South Avondale Area Redevelopment Plan and Land Use Bylaw. I'd call this public hearing to order and look for an introduction from administration. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I'll be presenting 2 bylaws this evening. Bylaw C 1202A, which is an amendment to the South Avondale Area Redevelopment Plan, and bylaw C 1100-183, which is an amendment to the Land Use Bylaw. The purpose of the amendments is to redesignate the subject property from mixed use and mixed use focus to direct control. Without getting too wordy, the amendment is both to the Land Use Bylaw and the South Avondale Area Redevelopment Plan to achieve that end. And the purpose of that amendment is to allow for the Grouard-McClellan Catholic Diocese to relocate the Chancery offices to Grand Prairie. The subject property is located at the northeast corner of 103rd Avenue and 102nd Street. This is a photo of the subject property as it sits today. The adjacent properties to the north is a multi-unit 3-story walk-up apartment. To the north, or to the immediate west, across 102nd Street is Hillcrest School. to the southwest, which would be Kitty Corner, is the funeral home. And to the immediate south is a renovated house, which has a business. I believe it's a quilting business. And then to the immediate east are some multi-unit dwellings along 103rd Avenue. All these images are courtesy of Google Street View. Heaven forbid I actually get out of the office to take these myself. Public notification was multifaceted. We sent letters to adjacent property owners, to which we received no response. We posted signs on the property and advertisements in the newspaper, to which we received no inquiries. And as a matter of courtesy, not necessarily a legislative requirements, I did circulate all the members that were on the South Avondale Area Redevelopment Plan Steering Committee for their input. And the response from that committee was entirely positive, and they believed that this application was, although at slight variance with the South Avondale Area Redevelopment Plan, it achieved a number of the goals and objectives that we as a group had envisioned and worked towards by creating that area redevelopment plan. So in reviewing the proposed document, we reviewed the applicable planning documents, and that would be the municipal development plan, first and foremost, then the South Avondale Area Redevelopment Plan, which was adopted by council in 2008, I believe, and the land use bylaw. Starting with the municipal development plan, there are numerous goals and policies that are supportive of this development. I won't go through those in the presentation. They're all in the report. They're referenced in the report. And no amendments to the municipal development plan are required in order for us to take a position of support on this application. The South Avondale Area Redevelopment Plan also contains numerous goals and policies that are supportive of this development, again detailed in the report. However, there's one small snag, which was that the future land use concept map requires amendment. I'll get into that in a minute. Now, the actual requirement to the South Avondale Area Redevelopment Plan might be a little questionable, but we thought just to be safe, just so that no one would accuse us of interpreting it too loosely or whatever, we thought, well, there's an amendment to the land use bylaw occurring anyhow. Let's just run them together, because we just wanted to be upfront with all the citizens in the neighborhood and those that were on the steering committee. So this is the map in the South Avondale Area Redevelopment Plan that requires amendment. Now, 102nd Street, this brown corridor right here, was what we had labeled as 102nd Street corridor with a mixed-use focus. And then there were policies in the document that stated that any future rezoning applications must adhere to this future land use concept map. Now, mixed use in the South Avondale neighborhood requires both residential and commercial uses. The proposed development does not have a residential component. So we were more leaning toward the commercial side of things with this proposed development, and that's what the amendment is. So in the actual amending bylaw, we're just taking a small node off the bottom of this mixed-use corridor and proposing that it become a commercial direct control focus, actually. And from a land use bylaw point of view, coincidentally, the property is actually currently zoned mixed use, although it is strictly residential in use currently. A previous landowner and developer had hopes to redevelop the site to mixed use, so their first step was to get it rezoned. They since backed away from that. The residential use continued and nothing ever changed. So again, these gentlemen came along and they had hopes to continue on with this development that they have in mind, and the requirement for a residential component was the hiccup, and that's why we're here tonight. Okay? So rather than rezoning this property to a commercial district, which would allow for the development of an office building. In discussion with the applicants, we suggested, and they were very receptive to the idea of doing a direct control district. So for council members who may not have too much experience with the direct control district, what it is it's a site-specific land use district. So this direct control district that I've drafted and that forms part of the bylaw is only for this subject property. It doesn't apply to any other properties in town. The benefit of that is that it's very prescriptive. We know what the land use is, what the development standards, site plan, building elevations, architectural detail, landscaping, we all know that right up in advance. The concern we would have with not taking a direct control district is that if we went with a commercial district, and these gentlemen have great intentions of doing a very nice development, as you'll see, and then something happens, their plans fall through, that land is then zoned commercial, and any one of the 20 permitted uses that are in that district could be developed there, and we didn't want to do that, you know, out of respect for the South Avondale plan and just good land use planning in general. This is a textbook example of when direct control zoning is appropriate. So that's a little long-winded on the direct control thing, but if you have any questions, please ask me. So again, with the direct control, the bylaw, if you have a look at it, you'll see is very prescriptive. I just took a few snapshots from the bylaw. On the right, there's the site plan, which shows the building, the parking lot, and landscaping. Up on the top left is the proposed building elevations, and then just a snapshot of some of the criteria that we've put into the direct control district. It is important to restate that, again, we're going to get this development. If there's no way that they can get this rezoning and then come in and put up a Max convenience store or a gas bar or something, this is what we're going to get. And there is a policy provision for minor changes to some of the architectural detail and site plan and stuff. And if that occurs, rather than having to come back and amend this, then they just go through the discretionary use approval process and come to Public Works Committee to look for some variance if necessary. It's not anticipated. So conclusion and recommendation, as you may have guessed, is that we feel that it's we feel that the development is sensitive in scale and use and appearance to the rest of the neighborhood. We feel it has the potential to greatly enhance the neighborhood, and we feel the proposal is consistent with the goals of the South Avondale Area Redevelopment Plan, and urge council to give bylaws C-1202A and C-1100-183 second and third reading as amended.
Okay, thanks very much, Mr. Johnson. Any questions for administration at this time? Seeing none, then I would open the presentation submission portion of the hearing. If there's anybody that'd like to come forward to speak in favor of the application, please make your way to the front and introduce yourselves. Gentlemen.
Good evening. My name is Garth Grubasich. This is Jerry Marcotte, and we're representatives of the Archbishop on this project. We're volunteers. We're not building the project. We're working on behalf of the McLennan Archdiocese. And we sought if you have any questions of us that we could answer.
Okay. Any questions for the delegation? See a couple that aren't going to, three that aren't going to let you off easy. Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. Just a question here. I got a couple. What's the overall height of the building and that sort of thing? Like, do you have an idea? Like, I see it's a two-story building, but it's got quite a hip roof to it.
Yeah, Joe might have it.
If the delegation doesn't have that, I don't know if administration can make a, do we have that information in hand?
You might be able to find it. Not to worry, that's
Well,
fine.
if, Mr. Johnson, if you want to have a look and see, and then, yeah, that'd be great.
It's
Councillor
not
O'Toole?
excessive. I mean, it's like a two-story house would be the same, very similar elevation.
Okay, and just one more confirmation, there is no bedrooms, no living quarters in this building?
No, there's not.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given, Gareth, and Jerry. I'm very excited about this. Archbishop Jerry Pettipaw, the diocese is going to be here. But the one thing I've noticed is not included, and I was wondering, I know it's office building, but for the Archbishop, there's not going to be like a section for, can that be added on? Has anyone thought about a garage, like, for like parking?
No, there's
Never,
no,
not at all?
no, no. Again, this will be his office. He'll have a residence,
Yes, I know.
a separate residence.
Okay.
Okay. Councillor Radmer.
Thank you, Mayor Given. So just I guess to add to Kevin's comments, just the parking, I just noticed there's 10 stalls on site. There's 10 with an arrangement with the church, and it's a corner lot, so you see street parking. So I guess both yourselves and men are comfortable with that capacity in terms of parking.
Yeah, that'd be adequate for the amount of offices that are in it. That'll be more than adequate parking. Yeah.
If I may add, given the nature of the Chancery business, they don't see a lot of foot traffic. It's an administrative function that reaches the entire diocese of northwestern Alberta, so it's not a pedestrian-orientated business, if you will.
Phone calls.
Okay.
Thank you.
Phone calls.
Councillor Wong.
Yes, thank you. So this is a relocation of the office from McLennan, is it?
Correct, yes.
Okay, I think that's great. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Councillor Crokin.
I support this 100%. I think it's a good move for the Archdiocese, and it's a real good move for Grand Prairie. And just to address Councillor O'Toole's for the size, I think that we've approved the building where the Cyril Gurbovich, the lawyers across from Dairy Queen, be about similar size as that.
I would think so.
I would believe, yeah. Okay, thank you, and let's get going.
Okay. If there were no further questions for the delegation? I don't see any. So gentlemen, if you didn't have anything further, thanks very much for attending tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. This is still the presentation submission portion of the public hearing. If there's anybody else that would like to speak in favor of the application, you can come forward. If there's anybody here that would like to speak in opposition to the application, this would be your opportunity to come forward. And it doesn't look like there's going to be anybody coming forward, so we'd, and if there were no further questions for administration, and then I would close the public hearing and we'd move to business arising. Councillor Rice.
I move second reading of bylaw 1202A, a bylaw to amend the South Avondale Area Redevelopment Plan.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Rice, for that motion for second reading. Any discussion or debate on second reading? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Rice?
I move third reading of bylaw 1202A to amend the South Avondale Area Redevelopment Plan.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Any discussion or debate on third reading? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Rice? think there's
I
two more
move
portions.
second reading of bylaw C 1100183 to amend the land use bylaw.
Sorry. Do you have, yeah, okay. I'm sorry, I was looking at my other agenda that had the typo. Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Any discussion or debate on second reading of that land use bylaw amendment? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Rice?
I move third reading of bylaw C 1100183 to amend the land use bylaw.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Any discussion or debate on third reading? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries, and I believe that handles all of our public hearing business for tonight. We'd move on from there to unfinished business, of which we had none, and reports. We have one report, the adoption of the strategic priorities chart from October to December 2012. Do we have an introduction from administration on this one, or Community Growth Director, Ms. Ferguson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the updated strategic priorities chart for City Council for the next 3 months. There have been a number of priorities that council has dealt with that have been removed from the chart, including advocacy items such as the AUMA resolutions that were approved at the recent conference, and the internet voting pilot program, which is we're proceeding with application for funding. And under the corporate priorities, a number of priorities have been completed as well.
Okay, thanks very much, Ms. Ferguson. Could we have a motion for the strategic priorities chart adoption? Councillor Wong?
Thanks, Mayor Given. I move that council adopt the strategic priorities chart for October to December 2012.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Any discussion or debates on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. That takes us to committee business, and the first committee up was the Special Community Development Committee. Councillor Crokin, you're on my right. Usually you're very left of me, but now you're right, on the right side. Okay. Councillor Crokin.
This is where the power is usually on the right.
Right before, so he's thrilled.
Councillor Crokin.
Is something I did to deserve this? Anyway, thank you, Mayor Given. I move council receive the minutes of the Special Community Development Committee meeting held October 1st, 2012.
Thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Did anyone note any errors or omissions in that set of minutes? Any discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Crokin, was there anything that you wanted to highlight in that set of minutes?
Actually, that was, we had that come forward before the last council meeting, and it was dealt with in, the motion was dealt with in at the last,
On
at
October
our last
1st,
council,
yeah.
on October 1st, yeah.
Thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. So we'd move to the Public Works Committee, and I believe Councillor Radburn, you're going to be standing in for Councillor Gustafson.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I move council receive the minutes of the Public Works Committee meeting held October 2nd, 2012.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Any discussion or debate on that motion? Did anyone note any errors or omissions in that set of minutes? Seeing none, I call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Radburn?
Thank you. And secondly, move council approve a development permit application D12-0865 for an addition of a new kiln and control room subject to the conditions indicated in the notice of decision. Public Works supported this recommendation, and now since it is a direct control district, council needs council approval as well. So the essence of this is that the present 5 kilns that Canfor has will not be able to keep up with the sawmill and planing mill capacity. So they need a 6th kiln. There is room, I asked the question at committee, there is room for 2 or 3 others. But this will keep them running at capacity and pending the economy, keep the mill working 7 days a week. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Discussion or debate, questions or comments? Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. This is very good news for the city of Grand Prairie and forestry workers. The economy is picking up, housing starts, China, and to build another kiln, that just means production level is going to go up a bit. So this is a very, very positive step for forestry workers and other business owners in the community.
Thank you. Any further discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Looking for one more vote there, Council. Thank you. And that motion carries. I believe, was there anything else, Councillor Radburn, from that set of Public Works minutes?
Thank you, McGivern. Just quickly, actually, it was a full agenda. We approved a development permit application with a renovation with some variances. We approved a discretionary use, and we refused a major home occupation with that had significant variances. We referred some monies that needed to, meet budget to actuals in 2013, a referral to our budget deliberations. And we directed the administration to provide a report re-cell tower protocol for the city of Grand Prairie. Thank you, Megan.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. That would bring us to 9.3 in the 100th Anniversary Committee. Councillor Rice. Sorry, Councilor Rice, you're going to have to hit your
Sorry.
microphone. Thank you.
I would move that council receive the minutes of the 100th anniversary committee meeting held October 2nd, 2012.
Okay, thanks very much, Councilor Rice. Any notes on that set of minutes? Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And did that vote come up? I didn't see it pop up on the screen, so maybe we'll do that again. I'll call for the vote on the 100th anniversary October 2nd minutes. Thank you. There we go. Got them that time. Motion carries. Councilor Rice.
I would move that council approve the homecoming budget in the amount of $260,000 as amended from the 2012-2014 council legislative budget. Speaking to it, we have, you know, the planning needs to be done well in advance of the events, which will be held the August weekend, long weekend in 2014. We had spent considerable energy developing an application for the Cultural Capitals Grant, only to find that the federal government had discontinued that grant, so that created quite a lot of difficulty for us. We have begun a rather extensive campaign looking for sponsors. The goal is to have a homecoming event, and the history book are the centerpiece of the anniversary, the 100th anniversary, plus 100 days of activities. And we'll be looking for sponsors for those different activities that will take place in the 100 days. But we need the money so that we can continue planning efficiently.
Okay, thanks very much, Councilor Rice. Discussion and debate, Councilor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. To Councilor Rice, this 260, does that include the 100,000 we did to look into the history book a month ago or so, where it was allocated? Was that in part of this 260,000?
No, it's not.
So do we have a focus of, and it's looked forward for the 2014 homecoming year, but there's also going to have to buy the books, and so there's more coming. This is, what's the majority of this for? Just planning all the events?
This is marketing and advertising, paying deposits for some entertainers, security, that type of thing.
Okay, no, I just wondering what, it'd be nice to have it all together, if it's going to be
I
$500,000,
do have
600,000,
someplace here,
700.
I do have a rather extensive, here you go, I could have marketing and advertising, talent, food, audio-visual, signage, staging, rental from ourselves of the Bose Crystal Gardens, tear down. So you have all of the things that will need to happen, that will need to happen for a successful homecoming. And I can, as I said, I can read these in detail if you want, or that's the overview. It's primarily.
No, I just wanted to know because it just, you know, costs, and
Yeah.
hopefully there's not too much overrun.
It's pretty much so that we can get everything booked to ensure that we have it for the homecoming weekend, all the stuff that you would need for a successful homecoming.
Councilor Radford.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Just as I read the recommendation, I'm assuming that these monies are included in the council's legislative budget presently over those 3 years. This is not an additional request to our budget deliberations. Am I correct?
There, I believe, is an amendment, a slight amendment.
For administration, perhaps, is this money currently in our budget, or is this an addition to our budget? Community Growth Director?
Mr. Mayor, the money is currently in the legislative budget over 2012, 13, and 14 for a total of $260,000.
So this is not new money?
This is not new money.
Previously budgeted and previously approved by council?
That's what I assume. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion or debate? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. Thank you very much. And that motion of reallocation of funds has passed. Councilor Rice, is there anything else that you want to highlight from that 100th anniversary committee minutes?
We actually have an extremely active committee. Mr. Carmen Hackstead from the college has joined us. He is the Vice President of External Relations. We've had some extremely exciting working with Mrs. Lamontagne, the Executive Director of Tourism, looking after souvenirs. Randy Pike, Don Streeper, the public members have been extremely active. Councillor O'Toole has provided us with a list of roughly 5,000 things he would like to do. And we're in the process of winnowing those down. So it's an extremely, the committee is very, very excited. Cindy Simigan from the Chamber has been working very actively with Councillor Gustafson and Janet Longmate on the homecoming weekend. So they said it's nice to have begun planning early, so we're not planning in a frenzy. But the committee is very excited and has put their practical hats on too, as you can see from the logo for it, and the that we adopted the cities, modified slightly the cities, and one that the city had already adopted. So I said, put their practical hats on, and we continue to move forward.
Great. Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. That would take us to the Community Development Committee from October 2nd. Councillor Crokin.
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. I move council receive the minutes of the Community Development Committee meeting held October the 2nd, 2012.
Thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Any discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Did anyone note any errors or omissions? Councillor McLean?
I know this is the proper time to speak to. I was just going to bring up a question about the Kool-Aid Center, and they're
So
talking
this is a
about-
motion on the minutes. So
No,
we're
not the
asking,
minutes.
Is the minutes
all.
accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. Then seeing nothing on the minutes, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Crokin?
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. I also move council approve the termination of the City of Grand Prairie Regional College Agreement dated October 28, 1970 regarding land development for the college, and further that the council direct administration following the termination of the agreement to discharge the caveat on the title of the Grand Prairie Regional College land located at Plan 5767 RS Block 1.
Thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Questions or comments? Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. Could Gary speak to this? Yes.
Community Living Director or appropriate
Is that
administration? Gary?
Sure. This was an agreement that was put in place into 1970 to allow the college to acquire land that was at that time owned by the city, used for recreational purposes. And the agreement required the college to maintain essentially what was the existing recreational facilities that were there at that time. The college has since developed into the college we have today, and the recreational facilities have changed somewhat from what was originally there in 1970. The college is wanting to move forward with some future expansion plans at some point in time, and this is one of the first steps that they need to be able to free up that land. In turn, that the college will also, part of their future development, there are provisions where the city can acquire some municipal reserve land, would be an opportunity for us to move the existing recreational facilities to that municipal reserve land.
Okay. Thanks very much, Mr. Roth. Councillor McLean?
just one more question, and I know this area for playing ball is getting kind of, you hit a few home runs, you're going to hit vehicles going by there, and the college is expanding. I'm just wondering about acquiring land. Is it going to be like, we'll have like a swap and then the city builds, because we're going to be losing some ball dimes 5 years, 10 years, some recreational areas. And there was an individual, this is 1970, so I was born in 1970. So, so I'm wondering, we're going to eventually lose a recreational area. So is the college, they got land over on the west side of has anything been said, okay, I understand you're saying about doing some of this, but has anything looked, do we got to buy the land, or would it be just, here you go, the caveat's off, and okay, we can put diamonds over here for $1 instead
Mr.
of.
Roth?
As part of the, that would be something that would have to be addressed as part of the subdivision process, which I understand is still to come.
So, if I understand the process, at the time of subdivision of any future college development on their other lands, that'd be an opportunity for the city to require some municipal reserve dedication at that time.
Do we have to pay for the lands, or would it be just a swap?
If it's just MR, the city does not need to pay for the land. The city, in every case where lands are being subdivided, the city has the right to a certain percentage of municipal reserve, 10%, excuse me, thank you.
And that'd be enough to fill the area that's going to be lost, is what I'm wondering. For diamonds, eventually it's going to be taken over with residents, or I'm looking at that area having diamonds.
The agreement actually doesn't speak specifically to diamonds in either case. It talks about the college being required to keep land for recreational purposes. So even under the current status of this agreement and the caveat, there's no requirement for ball diamonds to be a part of the equation at all.
Okay.
So if it's about, Councillor Wong?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Given. I'm going to speak in favor of this motion. I certainly support it. I think it's about time that we remove that caveat on the college lands. The city has invested considerably in recreation for the entire region, but specifically within the city. In the day when that caveat was placed on the land, it was there to ensure that the city would have recreational amenities and facilities. I think that we've more than met the obligation for that. The college itself has developed this fantastic gym that they allow the public to access, and I think that more than fulfills their obligation towards recreation. On top of that, they also have these fantastic programs with the Wolves that they run, and I don't think there's any shortage of recreational possibilities that the college helps to provide us. So, to the families that donated the original land and wanted recreation on there, I think we owe them a great debt of gratitude, because if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have developed so much recreation in the city. Because of its proximity to where everyone lived. The city was only so big at one time. I do think, though, it is time to release this caveat and allow the college to realize their expansion vision unencumbered.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Any further discussion and debate on the motion? Seeing no one ringing in, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries with one opposed. Item 9.4.2, Councillor Crokin.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I move council award to Canadian Mental Health the funding contract for permanent supportive housing from October the 15th, 2012 to March 31st, 2013 for a total of $331,882 excluding GST based on funding allocations from the province of Alberta Human Services.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Discussion and debate on the motion?
Just to
Councillor
speak to
Crokin,
that
please.
briefly, not in detail, these are flow-through dollars that we're handling on behalf of the province.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Discussion and debate? Seeing no one ringing in, I'll call for the vote. And that motion carries. Councillor Crokin, was there anything else you wanted to highlight in that set of CDC minutes?
Thanks, Mayor Given. There was a number of presentations, but the one, for time's sake, the Grand Prairie Public Library Expansion Project, Serena Boyd-Harlock and a member at large, Lynn Coulter, had requested for $200,000 for the completion of the Montrose Cultural Center Library Expansion Project up. The part that's upstairs that has been just basically storage for the redevelopment. And we had made the motion to move that to the 2013-2014 budget review. So it's a positive thing, and we look forward to it. But it's at the budget review.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Crokin. Councillor McLean, you had a question previously?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I don't know if it would be towards Councillor Crokin or to Gary, Community Development. Question was on the Kool-Aid Center when this meeting happened about some of the children going to the Eastlink Center for swimming, and it was brought up about if they read a book they can get in because they were finding it hard pressed. I was wondering if something's happening there. Has that been evolved for the Kool-Aid Center Do you know, Councillor Crokin, about this issue?
Thanks, Mayor Given, Councillor McLean. No, maybe Community Living Gary could just touch on that.
Mr. Roth?
Administration from the Kool-Aid Center and Eastlink Center have been working together on this, and that's, they are working on resolving that, as well as there was a couple other issues that the Kool-Aid Center had brought forward, and they are working on it.
Because I thought it was a great idea, and they didn't know about this, what happened to say about some individuals maybe can't afford to swim, but if they read the book, they can get a pass to go for the day. So hopefully there'll be a few books at the Kool-Aid Centers. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor McLean. If there's nothing further on that set of minutes, then we'd move on to the Protective Services Committee meeting. 9.5, Councillor Wong.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I move that council receive the minutes of the Protective Services Committee meeting held October 9th, 2012.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Did anyone note any errors or omissions in that set of minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Wong, anything you wanted to highlight from that set of minutes?
Yeah, we had two pieces of business that we dealt with. The first one was the Safe Growth Matching Grant Program, which was referred back to administration with some revisions, and that'll come at a future committee meeting for approval. The other piece of business that we handled was we discussed some correspondence from a resident who was concerned about encroachment of trees, and that was the same delegation who was going to come here tonight. He didn't show for a reason. It's because that he spoke with our Enforcement Services Department, and they basically told him that there is provincial legislation that covers the encroachment of trees and what you're allowed to do, and that would supersede anything that we have in the city to deal with that.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. So that takes us to 9.6 in the General Government Services Committee meeting from October 9th. Councillor Radburn, I think you'll handle that one for us.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Given. I'd move council receive the minutes of the General Government Services Committee meeting held October 9th, 2012.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Did anyone notice any errors or omissions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Radburn?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I would move council approve tender number T54433-12 to Liege Sheet Metal Limited for $676,974 excluding GST. This was there were two bids. This was the highest evaluated, lowest cost and highest evaluated bid. The monies were in budget. There was most of it was in the budget for this project. Because of the tender's amount, they had to add some unused monies from the Service Center roofing project and the Parks Ventilation Fresh Air Intake project.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Radburn?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'd move council approve policy 343, neighborhood entrance features reserve as presented. Council approved a policy 611, neighborhoods entrance features on public lands. That policy requires that a reserve be set up to hold the developers' contributions for the maintenance of developer-built features once they become the responsibility of the city. So this just takes care of making sure we have the reserve in place to deal with the policy that was previously approved.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Radburn?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I would move council give first reading to borrowing bylaw C-1280 as presented.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn.
So in just speaking to this, this is the approving of this borrowing bylaw will now ensure that the requirements set out by the MGA are met in advance of when funds will be applied for from the Alberta Capital Investment Authority. So this first reading tonight, there's a couple of weeks of advertising, then it comes back to council for second and third reading, and then there's another 15 days or so. So, in a month or so, we'll be I think there's 30 days after that, actually. So it'll be a while, but we'll be in position to be eligible to apply to ACFA for these monies.
Okay, thanks very
you.
much, Councillor Radburn. So motion for first reading, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Radburn, was there anything else to highlight? in that
Just
minutes?
to add, just briefly, two other agenda items. One was the fiscal sustainability model quarterly dashboard information was presented. We made some comments and some suggestions, and that will now become a regular component of our quarterly financial statement updates. And secondly, admin asked for a request for direction relative to the council standing committee structure. As council is well aware, we've changed the structure somewhat to have our main, I guess, areas being community growth, community living, community safety, and corporate services. So the question is, do we change, given those changes, do we look at changing our standing committee structure? And committee felt it would be best if all of council was involved in that discussion. And so we've referred that to the 2013 January strategic planning session for input, and then a report will come after that. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. That'll take us to 9.7 in the Environment Committee. Councillor Munro.
Thanks very much, Mayor Given. I'll move that council receive the minutes of the Environment Committee meeting held October 10th, 2012.
Thanks very much, Councillor Munro. Any discussion or debate on the minutes? Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Munro.
Thanks again, Mayor Given. I'll move that council give first reading to bylaw C 1039D to amend the building permits bylaw. And just to speak to what exactly this is a bylaw that deals with water efficient fixtures within the city and our building permits, etc. So essentially, any new permits that are taken out or any new renovations completed will have toilets that'll have a tank of a capacity of not more than 6 liters per flush. Faucets will have a flow capacity of not more than 8.3 liters per minute, and all shower heads will be at 9.5 liters per minute. I think as well it should be mentioned that this bylaw amendment conforms with AUMA's policy on the using water efficiently, effectively, and productively.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Munro. I'll call for the vote on first reading. Thank you. And that motion carries with one opposed. Councillor Munro.
I'll move council give second reading to bylaw C 1039D to amend the building permits bylaw.
Thanks very much, Councillor Munro. Discussion and debate on second reading. Questions, comments? Seeing one, Councillor Wong.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'm just going to speak in favor of this motion. I believe that this is for new buildings only, or ones that are going to have substantial renovations. And our administration did consult with home builders, and they said that that is common practice for them now.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I think it's a very good initiative. But as well, renovations aren't included, but really they are, because if you're going to the lumber yard or a store to buy your plumbing fixtures, generally they are in the standards now they are. But it's a good move.
Thanks very much, Councillor McLean. Any further discussion and debate on second reading? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries with one opposed. Councillor Munro.
Thanks, Mayor Given. I'll move that council consider giving bylaw C 1039D third and final reading.
Okay, so a motion to have third and final reading here tonight. This motion must carry unanimously. Discussion and debate on the merits of having third reading here tonight. Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. We can have third and final reading. Councillor Munro.
Thank you. I'll move that council give third reading to bylaw C 1039D to amend the building permits bylaw.
Thanks very much, Councillor Munro. Any discussion debate on third and final reading? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries with one opposed. I believe that finished all the committee business for Environment Committee. Councilman Rowe, was there anything else to highlight next to the minutes?
Sure, thanks, Mayor Given. We had a delegation, it was Brenda from Recycle Plus came and discussed about a grant that they recently received from Alberta Beverage Container Recycling Association, I believe that. Sure, what Councillor Rice just said. Anyways, they just received $33,000 to fund recycling containers to be put out in places such as Center 2000, Muskosipi Park, and the Ball Diamonds. And many of you may recall that we received a similar grant last year about the same time for about $50,000, I believe, that supplied the East Wink Center. So this was great news. As I understand, there is still some grant monies available, and I believe that administration is looking at other ways that we could potentially grasp some of that funding for to further our recycling initiatives.
Thanks very much, Councillor Monroe. That finishes all of our committee business. We had no items of correspondence tonight. We had no delegations. And we have no notices of motion. So that takes us to council member reports. And we'd start with the Alberta Urban Municipalities Association, AUMA. Councillor Rice.
I attended the Energy Resources Conservation Board Chairman's Advisory Committee a meeting in Calgary, a very interesting meeting. There was a rather lengthy presentation on the RCB's monitoring of the oil sands activity. So that was a very interesting meeting. The Utilities Consumer Advocacy Board is also in the process of drafting a response to sections of the recommendation contained in the regulated rate review report that has been filed with the province.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Senator 2000, Councillor Crokin.
Thanks, Mayor Given. We had a management meeting, and there was a number of things covered, but the outstanding maintenance item still is the paver replacement and the roof replacement. And Amanda's been working with Elmer from city staff, and I think that's a positive way to go, because they did sit down with some of the departments just to explain how Center 2000 does run, and it is owned by the city, but we do have leases. That's how we get some revenue there too. The kitchen renovations, if you haven't been over there, I suggest that you do make a trip when you're driving by, just to pull in and see what a great job was done. I mean, it's a beautiful facility anyway, but the two additions to the upgrading, and now we have a kitchen in an area where you can greet people, and it's very, very nice. And on the new business, we had applied for a, I don't know if it's C11F or CIIF. CIIF, is that what those are? It's a grant application from the Center 2000 Tour Board. We've applied for a $68,000 grant to help us with that coffee bar and kitchen area. So that was about it.
Okay, excellent. Thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Disabled Transportation Society, Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. Just a slight little briefing here. The Cars for Christmas campaign is kicked off this week, and the DTS will be selling tickets this week at the mall, and I will be there on Friday, all day. And that's my report. Buy your tickets.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor O'Toole. I think you also had a couple others. Actually, I think it's the Councillor O'Toole show from here on out.
Well, there you go.
Library board?
I got the library board. We're having just desserts this weekend, an evening with Kelly Armstrong. If you want to join us for an intimate evening of best-selling author Kelly Armstrong, Kelly will share her experiences as a successful author and take your questions. Throughout the week, between the 19th and the 21st, she'll be doing writing workshops both for the youth, I think it's from grade 4 to grade 8, high school, and also adult workshops. And just another little sideline, we are also looking at the prospective new library director some of the applications this week, so, or early next week, sorry.
Okay, and Northwest Corridor Development Corporation.
Okay, I was very fortunate enough to go down to Prince Rupert this last week and partake in just go to my page here, into the Northern Port Symposium. And at the symposium, the Northwest Corridor, I was elected as a director for the board. And it turned out pretty good. This area of BC is lots of opportunity. We took a tour to Kitimat and also Terrace. There's an Alcan aluminum plant there that is doubling in size, and the production will double, but yet the costs will be half the costs, and also it'll be reduced by 200 employees. So instead of having 1,200 employees working there, it'll be reduced down to 1,000. Some of the other items that we had there that were guest speakers at the symposium was a gentleman, just get my paperwork out here so I don't get the names wrong. We had a gentleman named Graham Kegley. He was the founding director of NCDC, and he spent 10 years with the board and gave some good words of wisdom. David Black, owner of Black Press Limited, a very wealthy individual. He owns 100 newspapers throughout Canada and the United States, and his concern would be a proposal to build a refinery in the Kitimat area. And I know it sounds like we're in a different province, and we are. There's other things that are looking at. CN Rail did some presentations. It's going to affect us one way or the other. Enbridge did a presentation as well, plus many other people. But it will have some direct input for the Peace Country. And just wanted to let everybody know that it's an exciting venture, what they've got going on out there in Prince Rupert. And just finish off with the dinosaur board, if you don't mind, sir.
Sure, Philip J. Curry Dinosaur
Yep.
Museum.
The campaign has started with www.indigo.com. It's a website that's set up so if you want to donate to the cause, you can. Our goal here, or the goal that is planned, is $1 million. We've got 120 days to come up with that, and then the campaign is closed by Indigo. Curry Museum, just to give you the heads up that Patricia Cornwell will be releasing a book tomorrow, and it's called Bone Bed, and it sort of represents the Peace area here and Pipestone Creek. So there's a hidden storyline there. It's a fiction book, so don't believe everything you read. And that's all, sir.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Councillor Toole. I understand that that was influenced by her visit here last year for the Ackroyd Family Ball, so that was great to see that that had a lasting impact on her. So Councillor Toole would move to Councilmember Roundtable, and since we were there and you're on a bit of a roll, why don't you start and we'll
There you
work
go. The
around to
microphone's
right.
all warmed up, eh?
Sure.
Okay, on October 2nd, I attended the Grand Prairie Public School District Striving for Excellent dinner. Councillors Helen Rice and Lord Ranbird and John Crokin. Mayor Given, you gave a very inspirational speech. There was a number of students there that all achieved high standards in their school and the programs that they represented, and it was a very well-attended supper at the Bose Family Crystal Center. And congratulations to all those that were successful in getting awards and all those that support the students in all manners. On October 7th, I attended the last big cricket game in Grand Prairie for this year. And there was many supporters in the medical field. There was many doctors there and lab technicians and business people. It was a great success, and the winners were everybody in the community. There was over 30 players that were playing cricket. It was a good time. On October 10th, 11th, and 12th, I attended the Northern Port Symposium, as I mentioned earlier in my report. And on October 15th, this morning, I attended the Start of Small Business Week kickoff. Once again, Mayor Bill and Reeve from the county, Leanne Beaupre, read a joint proclamation, and congratulations to all small business nominees and as well as all the sponsors. And that's it.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very
Councillor
much.
O'Toole. Councillor Monroe.
Thanks, Mayor Given. On October 10th, actually chaired the Arts Development Committee meeting, and I believe that the minutes for that will be on the next City Council meeting. On the 13th, I attended the Nighthawk Alpine Ski Team fundraiser. Had approximately 250 folks come out to the Teresa Sargent Hall, and a good time was had by all. Today I had my quarterly meeting with City Manager Greg. I thought we had a pretty productive conversation and good chit-chat about the future of the city. I was also out of town today and thought I'd take the opportunity, seeing as it is Small Business Week through the Chamber, to attend a Chamber event in Dawson Creek, where I had the opportunity to have the BC Minister of Finance, Mike Dion, was the guest speaker and gave us an update on the economy in BC and what's going on there. It was actually quite a unique conversation. And they also awarded out a couple of Queen's Diamond Jubilees to some local residents in Dawson Creek. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Monroe. Councillor Crokin.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Given. On October 2nd, I attended the public school district Striving for Excellence Dinner and Awards also. The great keynote speaker, a Swan-Haven grad, Mayor Given. It was very good. October the 4th, most of the day there, enjoyed with Audrey at the Coca-Cola Center, a CARB hearing. That was most of the day. But I did get a chance to get out to the college at 5:30 and read the proclamation for the Sisters in Spirit Vigil Day, and that was attended by a great number of young ladies and men. And later that day, I attended the 25-year celebration at High Tech, and that was a congratulations to them. They've done a tremendous job. On October the 5th, I had a tender opening, and it was one of them was regarding the realigning of 100th Avenue East, so looking forward to that going ahead. October 10th, I attended a Centre 2000 meeting. October the 12th, Friday, I met with other participants at the workshop with the Honourable Minister Doug Horner. He's the President of Treasury, and our MLAs were also there, the Honourable Wayne Drysdale and Everett McDonald. There's a good cross-section of people and participants. Of course, you would never pack the house with these, but it was lots of good debate, and they handed out dollars and cents that they wanted you to comment on and prioritize both by percentage and by dollars, and health and education came out pretty well 1 and 2 on all of the way you slice the budget. And then a little later on Friday, I opened tenders again. And then Saturday at 12, I introduced and moderated a question and answer period for John Furlong, the CAO of Vancouver Organizing Committee of the 2010 very, very successful Olympics. He was speaking a little later that day. I attended the President's Council reception they had for him with President Don Gnatic and their directors. Then they had a workshop a little bit later on that I did not attend. But later on, I attended the 75th anniversary gala of the co-op, and all the proceeds of the QE2, which Councillor Rice bought a number of things, thank goodness gracious, and she contributed to their successful gala. And these truly are builders of the community, the co-op in their 75 years, have been contributing all along. So congratulations to them, and that was it, Mayor Gibbon.
Great, thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Councillor Rice.
I too attended the Grand Prairie Public School District Striving for Excellence dinner, where it was, I think, very heartwarming to see the recognition of the dedication and hard work and the pursuit of academic excellence by students in grade 4 to 12. And yes, the mayor's little speech was excellent, and it was full of lots of nostalgia and also, I think, some life lessons that could be passed on to the kids. So enjoyed that very much. To attended the High Tech 25th anniversary, and another organization that is a credit to our business community. I also attended the Co-op 75th anniversary, a business that is committed to growing with this community, and on the screen they had the pictures of when they started and where they started, and you can see the evolution of that business. I attended the Small Business Week kickoff, and kudos to the Chamber of Commerce and Community Futures and their sponsors. It's really neat when you have the nominees, so many nominees that you have to shortlist them before. There's a whole week's worth of activities happening. Tomorrow there is the Women in Business Luncheon at the curling rink, and tickets are still available. The subject, the guest speaker, is going to speak on her book. I would think this was funny if it wasn't happening to me. So again, I'm sure you can still, by calling the chamber tomorrow morning at 780-532-5340, you'd be able to get tickets. And then, of course, on Thursday night is the I forget what they call it, but it's the little mini show, trade show mixer at Jackpot. And on Friday night is the gala where the Small Business Awards will be awarded, and it's always an excellent evening. And again, tickets are available by calling the chamber. Today, I had my quarterly meeting with Greg. I very much enjoyed it. I don't think Greg not so much, but certainly useful sessions, and I appreciate Greg's initiative in initiating these meetings with each one-on-ones with each member of council on the periodic basis to find out what we think is working and what we think isn't.
Great. Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Councillor Wong.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Gibbon. On October 3rd, I participated in the annexation negotiation meeting between the city and the county. October 4th, the council strategic priorities meeting. Later that evening, I also attended the High Tech Business Systems 25th anniversary, and I'd have to say, echo the comments of my fellow councillors who were there, that we're very impressed with the business that's been very successful over the past 25 years. On October 5th, I attended a lunch with the GP Youth Council during their annual planning session. I really appreciated the informal conversation with the young leaders of tomorrow. On Tuesday, October 9th, I participated in a Mighty Peace Watershed Alliance executive meeting. We did that through conference call. Later that afternoon, I participated in a focus group session on Parkinson's disease at Wild Rose Manor. On October 10th, I was present for the Industrial Attraction Strategy Review. October 12th, Councillor Crokin and I were at the Provincial Budget Workshop with Minister of Finance Doug Horner. I just had to say that, whenever I file my corporate taxes at the end of each year, I now know who that check goes to, because I have to write it out to the Minister of Finance. I thought it was a really good session, but in true Grand Prairie fashion, the participants there not only answered the questions on the sheet, but we volunteered a lot of information that needed to be heard, needed to be discussed. So that's why I felt that it was a really worthwhile session. On Saturday, October 13th, after Councillor Crokin did that morning session with John Furlong, I was present at the 2 o'clock afternoon session with the GPRC President's Council. They did a meet and greet with John Furlong. Later that evening, I also went to the Alberta Sport Development Council Sports Recognition Awards. They had a banquet, and John Furlong was also the keynote speaker. And I don't know what that morning session was like with Mr. Furlong, but I tell you, the afternoon and the evening sessions were fantastic. He's an amazing speaker, an amazing author, and I found that even though I had to listen to him twice, there was very little duplication of material, and it was just riveting. You know, the IOC, International Olympic Committee, has rated the Vancouver Olympics as the best Winter Olympics in history. And that is one Winter Olympics where they struggled to get snow on the ground, if you remember that. You know, up in Cypress Mountain, it was all brown. So he did a fantastic job. Finally, this morning, I attended the proclamation at Center 2000 for Small Business Week. And just as a commentary for this meeting tonight, you might notice that we all shuffled around, and without Councillor Gustafson right here, I feel really lonely way off in the corner by myself. But that's my report. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Given. On October 3rd, I attended an assessment review board hearing, a CARB hearing. It was the first one. I was a little bit nervous, but the city staff do a marvelous job. There wasn't very many of the hearings this year compared to the city of Edmonton that has 7,000 or 10,000. So compared to population, ours are very low, and city staff do a tremendous job. On October 4th, I had a council meeting on strategic priorities. October 9th, I also attended the focus meeting on Parkinson's, the Alberta Society at Wild Rose Manor. This went over very well. As Councillor Wong was saying, was there. I knew some individuals there, and I realized one that I knew that now has Parkinson's. We were sitting at the same table, and they almost relate, talking about some individuals with MS as well, and they kind of work together about accessibility in buildings and how it could maybe be more appropriate to get there. And some of the issues brought up was if a building is accessible now, it's a public building, it should remain always an accessible building. So there was quite a good discussion. They said it was one of the biggest focus sessions they had between Edmonton, Calgary, and all around. So I think there were 60 to 100 people. There was a lot of people there, 60, 70, 80. But it was very good. October 10th, I also attended a CCW in Canberra meeting at City Hall. And on October 12th, I attended a barbecue for funds being raised to Grand Prairie Lacrosse at the LBX Center, sponsored by IT Partners for Business. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Councillor McLean. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. October 2nd, I also attended the Striving for Excellence dinner. As this was a brainchild of yours truly, 12 years ago. It's nice to see it alive and well. I've maintained my, I guess, support and being on the board of the foundation, so I get to be involved each year. So it's always a good memories for me. We have chosen to have graduates of our school district as our guest speakers, except for the 2 lieutenant governors of Alberta. And thanks to Mayor Given, we're honored to have him speak, an outstanding graduate of our school system. Thanks, Bill. October 3rd, City-County Annexation Meeting. 4th, Council Strategic Priority Session. October 5th, I joined Councillor Wong with lunch with the City Youth Council as this was part of their annual planning session. October 7th, I joined Kathy and Kevin at the, I didn't drag. I brought my grandson with me to the cricket match, and it was a bit of a cold wind, but I would echo Kevin's sentiments. They were just warm. The warm hospitality and the respect that we were given was just really heartwarming. We'll mention the Industrial Attraction Strategy input session. We'll have the report will come to GGS in the future. Arts Development Committee. And October 11th, Grand Prairie Regional Tourism Association meeting. It is our final meeting before the annual meeting, so just here to announce the annual meeting is November 22nd. I believe all of council is involved. You're welcome to come. our meeting, I guess, focused on financials and bylaws in preparation for the annual general meeting. We redone almost totally the bylaws, so major changes with respect to that will happen at our annual meeting. And I promised my wife Donna, I want to thank personally on her behalf and mine, thank Dan and Kevin for attending the Parkinson Society Focus Group. Don is on the provincial board for Parkinson Society of Alberta, and really appreciated your attendance. And yes, Kevin, it was one of the largest, and I think the only one where there were municipal officials attend. So thank you too for that. Thank you, Mayor Gibbon.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. So in addition to some of the events that were previously mentioned, I'll try to be relatively quick. On the 2nd, I attended a thank you lunch for Eastlink Centre sponsors. Great to see a number of those sponsors there, and was happy to help provide them with some additional recognition. Later that evening, I was the guest speaker at the Striving for Excellence, and congratulations to all the students who were recognized for either their excellence in academics or in some cases their excellence in terms of their commitment to school. There were students there who had, I think, safe to say that they'd changed their commitment to school, and maybe that was really the reason why they're being recommended or recognized, and that certainly is appreciated, in addition to the students who, some of them who received significant scholarships, and other ones who certainly were putting forward academic excellence. On October 3rd, here at City Hall, I was able to support Alberta Health Services and sign a proclamation for World Breastfeeding Day. On October 4th, I was attended in Claremont with a discussion between regional municipalities with regards to a regional water study. Later that evening, I also attended the High Tech Business Systems 25th Anniversary Open House. On the 5th, I attended the Grand Prairie Youth Council planning session, the business part of the session. For those that attended the lunch, I was there for the business part of the day. And then later that afternoon, I had the pleasure of drawing a ticket for 2 Anywhere WestJet flies. This was a fundraiser for Big Brothers Big Sisters, and it's the 2nd year in a row that I've had the honor of pulling the lucky name out of the hat, and so great to see everybody that bought tickets supporting the Big Brothers Big Sisters here in Grand Prairie. On Friday the 12th, I was in Edmonton for the Northern Alberta Mayors and Reeves Caucus meeting, hosted by Mayor Mandel from the City of Edmonton. There were a number of presentations, one that was focused on the City of Edmonton's redevelopment efforts within their city centre in the Boyle area, which some people may know, just east of the Shaw Conference Centre. Edmonton is making use of a very interesting tool called a Community Revitalization Levy. It's a tool that all municipalities could access. It's through the Municipal Government Act. We have the authority to do that, and it's something I think we may want to consider for our city centre. There was also a presentation with regards to inequities in the property tax system. And there was another presentation from the ADM from Alberta Municipal Affairs outlining the work that will be happening in the Municipal Government Act review. As we've heard from the minister, he plans to take a very aggressive timeline. The minister, of course, was talking about having it done in 3 years. But in order to have it done in 3 years, that means you actually have to introduce it and have a draft done a year in advance. So really, they're talking about 2 years. There will be significant successive, I should say, significant concurrent consultations going on. And so I think that it's going to be a really important issue that the City of Grand Prairie probably should sit down and think about how strategically we want to involve ourselves in that process, because the outcome will have a significant impact on everything we do as a municipality. And then on Saturday the 13th, I stayed over and was still in Edmonton to attend the Provincial ASIAFA Annual Congress for the Francophone in Alberta. I was there to accept an award that was given to myself and the City of Grand Prairie as a Ami de Francophonie in Alberta. This is an award that is given annually to recognize contributions to the Francophone community by somebody who is non-French speaking. Previous recipients have included Premiers Lougheed and Klein, and so it certainly is a great honor for the City of Grand Prairie to be recognized with this award. While I was there, I had an opportunity to attend some portions of the conference and education sessions, and I learned that our local OCFA has an outstanding reputation across the province. Others are asking how they manage to be so involved with their local government, and I think that's part of the reason why we got the award. I think that the credit really goes to our OCFA as they work to actively be involved in lots of different facets of the community. So I think we certainly share that award with them, but we certainly thank them for the recognition. It was a pleasure to be able to attend on behalf of council. And then on this morning, Monday the 15th, I attended the Small Business Week proclamation. I think a number of comments were made about the entrepreneurs in our area and the businesses that were being recognized, but also great timing considering CFIB recently released its Communities in Bloom report, which outlined the best places for entrepreneurs in Canada. And for the third year in a row, Grand Prairie is ranked as #1 on that list. And so it goes to show the strength of our small business community and our business community in general. They certainly are earning us a reputation across Canada. With that, I believe we're adjourned. Thank you.